What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Marshall Time, episode 32. What's going on, bro?
What's good, bro? What's going on? How are you?
Man, can't complain. Weather's getting nice. Spring is almost here. March Madness. Been watching a lot of college ball. This is a time where I actually pay more attention to college hoops at this point than the pro games. If there's like a big game I want to watch, I'll pay attention to. I may watch the Sixers these days. I don't want to watch them really. It's pretty bad basketball right now. But I'm excited about the March Madness and seeing these guys, and these girls as well, because the girls' tournaments, the girls' games are live as well. So this is just a favorite time of the year for myself. So I'm good. I'm excited to see these tournaments play out. But we got some things to talk about. Um, the biggest thing in the sports world is NFL free agency. The window has opened up for teams to negotiate, and obviously a lot of changes, some big names, most notably with our Eagles, Saquon Barkley. So first, I want to get your thoughts on Saquon, Penn State legend, being an Eagle now. Like just your initial reaction.
Man, I'm all for it, man. I'm a Penn State college football guy, so when Saquon was coming out, I was really excited, to see, a great player from the school go to the NFL. But I was salty he went to our rival in the Giants, man. I didn't like that. So now he's back home where he belongs. It's funny because he's originally from New York, but his family moved and he grew up in the Pennsylvania area. So that's real dope. He gets to play for the team, that he grew up around. And I'm excited, man. Behind this O line we got, I know Jason Kelsey retired, but we still have a great O line. We drafted Kelsey's replacement 2 years ago, if you know what's really going on. So we've been ready for this moment, and just getting somebody like Saquon. I love DeAndre Swift. He was a great back for us, but Saquon is just that next level. The only concern with him is going to be health. But as long as he can stay healthy, as long as the thing about us is we're not going to ground and pound him to the ground. I mean, we have receivers. It's just all into coaching. Coaches just have to make the right decisions, right calls, right play calls. But I love this signing, man. It's a great signing for us.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Saquon, he brings a different dynamic. I think over the last couple of years we've gotten better. I wasn't, Miles Sanders was cool, but there was still something missing. Like, I don't think he's exactly that game breaking running back. And then we get DeAndre Swift, which was better, right? But you knew there was still something missing in that offense when it comes to just a dynamic presence that Saquon Barkley brings. And so when he's healthy, I still think he has that ability, the ability that we saw out of Penn State to change a game. I still think he has that, and to bring that in addition to what we already have with an AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. You got to improve the third wideout spot. They signed Devontae Parker. That's not it. I think at this point Devontae Parker is definitely past his best years, and so I want to see what they do in the draft. Possibly, maybe they try to look for a younger piece to slide in there at the three spot. But I'm excited. One thing about Howie Roseman, he's going to move. He's going to do things to try to make this team better. Does it work all the time? No, it may not work all the time, but I commend a GM who actually tries. He makes up for his mistakes too. Like, okay, Jalen Rager didn't work out. Let me get AJ Brown. You know what I mean? Like, Miles Sanders may not be it. Let's get DeAndre Swift. Okay, Swift may not be our answer. Let's get Saquon. Oh, and also you weaken a divisional rival with the Giants who played themselves. This whole, Tiki Barber saying that Saquon is dead to him is lame because the Giants are the ones that didn't want to pay Saquon. And so you can't expect a player, this is a business, right? We always say it's a business. So when a player decides to make a business move for himself, you can't be mad at that. So Giants fans, be mad at the front office. They gave Danny Dimes over $100 million. That's on y'all. You played yourself. Once again, another incompetent franchise. Be mad at that. So I'm just laughing. Meanwhile, the Cowboys have no running back. So things looking good for the Eagles. NFC East once again. And I'm excited to see what Howie Roseman does going forward and with the draft coming up. The biggest thing for me, honestly, Russell Wilson to the Steelers, what does that do for you?
That doesn't do much for me. Mainly because I don't know how much Russell has left. I mean, I'm not going to say he won't bounce back. To be fair, he didn't even play terrible this past season with the Broncos. They just didn't win a lot of games. But his first year with the Broncos was bad. So they're looking at a quarterback he's up in age, he's past his prime, and he's on the Steelers team that their defense is legit, but their offense has not been legit, and it's mainly because of the quarterback. Now, I will say that's a good move for them because they didn't have to pay him a lot of money. You know what I mean? He's not
Mhm.
getting that ridiculous paycheck that he was getting with the Broncos. He's going there on a very much smaller contract, right? And they have nothing to lose. It's like you upgraded over Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky. So it's like, all right, we'll take a swing at it. It's something different for them. I do think him and Mike Tomlin will work well together. You know, two guys that have won before, two guys that seem to be focused on winning. So we'll see how
Mhm.
that goes. But we'll see. I mean, I still don't think that takes them over the hump in that division. That's a stacked division, but it's a tough division. They all play each other tough. So we'll see how it goes for them.
Yeah, I mean, look, and what I said, what I'll say about the Steelers is what I'm about to say about our next player movement. The Steelers signing Russell Wilson. Did you get better at quarterback? Yes, but where were you coming from? You were coming from Kenny Pickett, not preseason Kenny Pickett, which is a whole different ball game. So you were coming from regular season Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky, I think, right?
I believe that. Yeah, that was their backup. I believe.
So I mean, what are we talking about here, right? And so this is a 1 year deal. To me, this is a bridge quarterback situation. It would still behoove them to draft a quarterback in the draft. You know, maybe take a swing at somebody and see if you can develop and see what they can become in a couple of years. But this signing to me is just the Steelers. You have Mike Tomlin as your head coach. You're going to be good. You're going to be competitive. And so most of these teams, when it comes to a quarterback, we know if you don't have a handful of guys, if Mahomes, if it isn't Lamar, Josh Allen, I'm gonna put Jalen Hurts up there. He's made a Super Bowl. You know, there's just certain quarterbacks, the upper echelon of quarterbacks, that top 10 grouping, right? More so of the higher up, right? If you don't have those guys, at this point, your main goal, because this is a business, right? Let's get a guy in here who can actually at least be serviceable so that we can keep our fans interested in what we're doing. The Steelers made the playoffs this year. You won't even realize that Mason Rudolph was the quarterback and they made the playoffs, right? But what does that do? Peak interest, more money. You know, if we win the division, let's get a home playoff game in here. Let's get some extra attention. And so a lot of these teams know the quarterback that they have is not good enough, but they're good enough just to be good enough into peak interest, right? That's all it is. Let's just try to be competitive. And the Steelers, instead of bottoming out, period, and saying let's just start fresh with a fresh quarterback, let's see what Russ has left. Let's just try to be competitive. You're not beating Kansas City. You're not beating Baltimore with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson now. You're not beating Buffalo. Who like seriously? And the Steelers got lucky that Joe Burrow got hurt, and so the Bengals fell off, right? And so, are they even a playoff team with Russ at quarterback? I can't say that right now. I really don't know. Personally, I think Russ is cooked, but we'll see. Speaking of quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins got the Tobias Harris deal with the Falcons. 4 years, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed, a $50 million signing bonus, 35 years old, Achilles injury. I'll let you go first because I have my thoughts on Kirk Cousins. I've never changed my thoughts on him because you know where this goes for your Kirk Cousins. If you've watched Kirk Cousins over the years, you see where this ends up. And so I'm just going to repeat everything I've said over the years, but I'll let you give your thoughts on Kirk Cousins and the ATL.
I just want to know why. I want to know why teams continuously do this to themselves, right? You have a young team that has some promise on the team, some talent on the team. You should be looking forward to moving on to the future, looking toward the future. In the NFL, right, your team can go from being mediocre one season to good the next, just with a couple of moves, right drafting, right additions, right. The Falcons, they have a legit defense. They have weapons on offense. Kirk Cousins, don't get me wrong. Kirk Cousins he's a good quarterback in a regular season. Like he's going to get you. He's going to put up his numbers, right? He's going to win you some games. But in the end, I know. I don't know if these GMs know. Obviously, they don't. I know that you're not winning the Super Bowl, and you're probably not even going to get to a conference championship game with him at quarterback. So my question is why? I thought the goal was to win. That's my whole thing with this. And also, it's not like he's taking a cheap deal. Y'all gave him a bag. I see Falcons fans on Twitter. They're going crazy. Like, why are we doing this? What is this? Why are y'all putting us through this? And I feel they're paying 100%. Because if I'm a Falcons fan, I'm not looking forward to Kirk Cousins as my quarterback and thinking we're about to go somewhere. You know what I mean? No matter what you say, every NFL fan wants their team to go far and do something. No matter if you think your team is going to be trash or not, you still have that little bit of optimism that's like, all right, maybe they can turn up and show me something different this year. But at me, and just knowing what Kirk Cousins is, he's not a winner. He's not a winning quarterback. Okay, he's going to give you the stats. That's cool, but he's not a winning quarterback. We see him with talented offenses, time in and time out. That Giants, when they lost to the Giants with the Daniel Jones Giants 2 years ago, that did it for me. I didn't need to say anything else. And Kirk didn't even play bad that game necessarily, but it's just like, bro, you got outplayed by Daniel Jones with a lesser offense. What are we doing? So um, it's I feel like the Falcons are just saying, hey, he's an upgrade over Desmond Ritter and whatever else we had, but that's not saying much. If I'm the Falcons, I'm focused on let's try to draft a guy that's going to come in and make an impact. We've seen teams draft quarterbacks, whether it be the first round, second, third, or fourth, draft quarterbacks and come in and make a difference right away. You know what I mean? It's possible, especially with today's coaching in the NFL. You don't have to, you can simplify the game so much for these quarterbacks now, and the Falcons have the talent to do that. So to me, this was just a bonehead decision. I don't like it at all. The Falcons fans don't like it, so that's on them.
So I get my thoughts on Kirk Cousins because it hasn't changed. There isn't anything special about his talents to me. I don't look at him and say, okay, that's special, that's different. He's a good quarterback. If you want to get 8, 9 wins, maybe 10 wins, 11 wins, if everything's perfect around him, if you want to get a playoff game in there, that's a quarterback that you can trust to get you to that point. But when it comes down to late game moments, big moments, having to make big plays, when a quarterback has to do some special things, Kirk Cousins is that guy who is not going to get it done. You talked about that Giants game. I'm not sure if people remember, it was 4th down, game on the line. You see the first down marker. Look, you can look at this on YouTube. He threw it a couple yards short of the first down, like with a guy covering his man that he was throwing it to. These are the things that I'm talking about. How much we see his performances in prime time games like that. That's there for a reason, because when the lights get bright, he doesn't show up. But I think these teams talk themselves into Kirk Cousins, right? Because you look at the stats. Kirk Cousins is a testament to you do good work, stay out of trouble, be a good locker room guy, be a good leader. Team, especially as a quarterback, teams and there's a lack of good quarterback play, right? And so for Kirk Cousins, that's an easy lane for you to stick to, and he's done it well. And that's why at 35, coming off an Achilles injury, he's getting this big deal. And so for the Falcons, it's like we have Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. We haven't been utilizing these guys. What's the best case scenario? How can we quickly make sure these guys are living up to their full potential? And how can we develop these guys? Let's sign Kirk Cousins instead of taking a swing at a Justin Fields or a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix or a J.J. McCarthy, right? It's about these teams, number one, not having the patience to develop these quarterbacks. And sometimes, more often than not, they don't have no idea what they're looking at, even when it comes to a quarterback and what's actually going to translate to the next level, right? Most of these teams don't know what they're doing. We've seen it. We've talked about it. And so Kirk Cousins is the lazy, safe pick to be just good enough. In the NFC South, they better win that division. You got Baker Mayfield in the Bucs, Bryce Young in the Panthers, and Derek Carr in the Saints. That's just the mid-off of all quarterbacks when it comes to divisions, right? Bryce Young, we'll see what the Panthers do, because that's just a horrible situation. But for me, for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, they'll be a playoff team, but don't expect nothing more. At this point, what a quarterback shows you what he is over these years, you just got to stick to it. He's not going to make those plays when it matters most come playoff time and come crucial situations. So Atlanta, to me, this was, we got to win. Let's make this money. This is a smart business move for trying to win and maintain fan interest right now. That's just what it is, because if they win 9 games next year, the fans are going to be happy. That's the best they've had since when, right? And so for me, it's simple for the Falcons, business and a safe pick. That's all this is. Kirk Cousins, salute. One of the ultimate finessers in league history, because you have one playoff win, I think. Is it one? If he has more than one, I can't remember the others. But yeah, that's all it is. But these teams and these GMs always talk themselves into these subpar, average, non-special quarterbacks. Because honestly, you're stuck in between. Do I take a chance on a quarterback in the draft and it may not work out, or do I draft the safe pick? Or do I sign the safe pick? And this is what you get. You get a Kirk Cousins. So Falcons fans, yeah, you got young talent, but 2-3 years of Kirk Cousins, even if he plays that fourth year, I don't know. Expect maybe take over the NFC South for the next couple of years. But outside of that, will they have like a renaissance like the Lions did with Jared Goff and make a NFC Championship game? Maybe. That's the ceiling for me with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback. To me, with everything working out, health, everything clicking, that's the ceiling. Super Bowl appearance, no, it's not happening. So, all right, moving on to the NBA. There's a couple topics that we wanted to discuss, but the biggest thing is that you mentioned that we've all seen on Twitter, this movement of done with the 90s, which is pretty much, it really started with the MJ Bron debate, which I wrote down pretty much saying I'm done with it. And I was going to tell you why I was done with it. But that transitioned into showing highlights of Michael Jordan not being able to go left, which is crazy. You can easily pick out things that can make your argument stronger. I can do that with anything, right? Just to make your argument a little better than the other. And so pretty much with the 90s, disrespecting the level of talent and play of 90s players. I mean, there was Clyde Drexler disrespect, which is crazy. So for me, it's a lack of knowledge. It's lazy takes. It's social media. You try and get these jokes off. You try and get these engagements off. But without really doing your research or even knowing about some of the greats from the 90s. And even the evolution of the game, the evolution of training, the evolution of just everything that's gotten better over the years. Imagine Michael Jordan today with the resources that a LeBron has when it comes to taking care of your body and the new training and the new just the ways to preserve your body. And just the way how the game is played. You don't think Michael Jordan, with his intellect and his just natural ability to be an athlete, how he picked up playing baseball in the mid-90s, right? He wasn't great, but he figured out a way to be serviceable after a while. You don't think MJ would have figured out how to compete in today's game? Honestly, it'd probably be easier for him. These guys aren't good like that. Outside of the upper echelon, there's a lot of bad basketball being played. You know what I'm saying? And these guys aren't playing defense. It's not a physical game. MJ would torch. He would torch anybody you would put on. Name me anybody. He's torching. That's my take on the done with the 90s. You can say that about any era. You can pinpoint anything that can raise your argument up. But you got to respect each era as it comes, because without the 90s, we don't have the 2000s. Without the 2000s, we don't have the 2010s. Every era gives way to the next and paves the way to do what you've done. That's why LeBron has been chasing MJ all these years, who he'll never catch. That's all.
Yeah, it's at first I'm looking at it like, it's a joke, but as we know, when it comes to the whole LeBron versus Jordan and 90s and today debate, it's just all noise. It all comes down to hate. That's what it all really is. And it's sad because why can't we just enjoy everyone? You know what I mean? And the reality of it is, like you said, without the 90s, we don't have what we had today. Rod Strickland, right, is Kyrie Irving's godfather. Kyrie took a lot from Rod Strickland. Rod Strickland played in the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. Kyrie is one of the most loved players for his style of play. You know how crafty he is, how amazing he is to watch. Without Rod Strickland, you don't have Kyrie. Kevin Durant, who was another fan favorite just for his skill, you know what I mean? He has said on numerous occasions he watches Jordan highlights the most. And you see it in his game. Even though he's not nothing like Jordan as far as like he's taller than Jordan. You know what I mean? He has a whole different like set wise as far as just how he's built. He's built different than Jordan, but you can tell he took his game from Jordan. Kobe took his game from Jordan. Bron even takes pieces of his game from Kobe and Jordan, right? People just, when you think of Bron, you think about the stocky guy that's running you over at full speed. But he has skill. He has post fades. He can do stuff like that. So the whole sentiment of we're done with the '90s is just crazy to me. Also, another thing too, people are looking at lowlights from these games, but you can watch a game tonight in the NBA and it's going to be lowlights, and it's kind of even worse now because the product in the NBA now, especially in the regular season, these guys are running up and down, jacking up shots. Right? I watched the game last night. I watched the Thunder and Pacers, two young teams, two young promising teams with with a good future. You know what I mean? I watched them in the fourth quarter for 3 minutes, run up and down and jack up threes, and it was only a 5 point game in the fourth quarter. I watched them run up and down, brick threes. They're not running any sets. They're not getting guys to their spots. You turn on one of the Bulls finals games, off rip. They're getting Jordan the ball, mid post. Jordan catch the ball, jab, shoot, one dribble, shoot. You know what I mean? It's precise, so much precision. I feel like today people are looking at the thing about today's game is these guys' bags are deeper, right? But a bag doesn't mean you're better. A bag just means you're craftier. You know what I mean? You may be more exciting to watch. It might be more appealing to the eye. Yeah, I might want to watch a guy do a step back from 30 feet instead of a guy doing just a jab step in the shot. It's more exciting to watch. That's cool, but that doesn't make it better. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just crazy to me. It all comes down to hate though. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? I don't hate LeBron. I don't hate Jordan. If you ask me who to go, I'm gonna say Jordan though. But and it's not to take nothing away from Bron. I think Bron is the second greatest player ever, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to sit here and disrespect what's going on today because the reality is there's low lights in both eras. You know what I mean? We can bring up some Bron low lights too, and they've been doing it. They got clips of JJ Redick crossing up LeBron.
We ain't gonna talk about the Mavericks Heat. We ain't gonna talk about the Mavericks Heat series. I watched it.
We don't gotta bring that up. We can talk about Mario his own year strapping LeBron up for the game in the Garden and then pointing at him, laughing on the ground. We can bring all that up. It's low lights from every player from every era. So at the end of the day, who do we look at? We got to look at facts at the end of the day. It's all about facts.
I had to watch a Sixers lineup of Tobias Harris, Mo Bamba, Nick Batum. I'm done with 2024. Tobias Harris had 2 points yesterday. I'm done with 2024. Miss me. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Killian Hayes was a starting point guard in the NBA. So if you once again, I can pinpoint any situation you want to talk about to make my argument strong. I can say, okay, Killian Hayes was a lottery pick and a starting point guard for the Pistons. Where's Killian Hayes at today? I'm done with the 2020s.
He's still playing for the Pistons.
I thought they waived him.
Or if they just waived him. But that's the point. He just got waived.
I'm done with the 2020s.
Right. We can say, right, as I'm saying, we can say.
So what are we talking about?
Right.
And at the end of the day, you can say you're done with the 90s, but who is the player every year when it comes to young prospects and the greatest players of the game today? Who is the one player that people hold up there as the standard still? Michael Jordan. What's the word around Anthony Edwards? He's the next Michael. So if you're telling me this guy is feasting on poor competition in the 90s, yet he's still the standard. The sneakers are still selling out. He's still the guy that LeBron is chasing. He's still the guy that the league is trying to replace as the next one. And they haven't done it. He hasn't played since when? The early 2000s with the Wizards, and they're still holding him up as the standard. And of course, the bags are going to be deeper with their skills because the game evolves. If Michael Jordan is playing today, he would have a deeper bag. What are we talking about? It's not complicated here. And so for me, I'm done with the Bron MJ debate because it really doesn't matter at this point because you're never going to change anybody's mind. For me, it's a matter of, it comes down to preference. If I had my last dollar and they said you get to pick between MJ or Bron at their peak, who do you want to pay to see? I'm picking the guy who's flying in the air, who's switching his hands in midair, who's just a killer out there on the court, who might do something you've never seen before. Ask a non-NBA fan who doesn't have any basis of basketball, put him in front of a TV, you show him LeBron highlights, you show him Michael Jordan highlights, ask him who is the epitome of a basketball player. I think 9 times out of 10, they're going to pick MJ. For me, it's just a style of play preference. LeBron is a great player. It's more of a strength thing when you watch him play, right? You see him 6'8", 250, however much he weighs. He's bullying. There's a force to it. But Michael plays the game how I would want to play it, how I would teach a kid to play it. That's MJ. That's how you play the game. And that's why Kobe Bryant patterned his game after MJ, because he knew that's the guy. That is how you play the game. For me, it's just an artistic thing. MJ is just, the way he plays, it's poetry to me. LeBron is a force, no doubt about it. But MJ, for me, it just hits different. It does. And nobody since then, besides Kobe, has come close to the aura, that's the word now, right, that MJ had out there on the court with the way they played.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to me. It's a preference thing. I'd rather watch Michael Jordan highlights than LeBron highlights. There's just more to it that I get out of, personally. So, yeah, that's my thing. Did you want to close up on the MJ Bron thing?
I mean, like I said, man, everybody's gonna have their opinion. I just don't. I said this even when I was younger. Once I saw Bron lose to that Mavericks team, I can't do it. And that's not to say he hasn't had a great career. He's had a great career. He's done some great things. The 3-1 comeback is epic. That's an epic comeback. I don't care what anybody says. That's epic, right? But I look at how he went to Miami and not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. You told me you were going to bring me 6, 7, 8 chips, whatever, but they won 2. And you lost your first one to a Mavs team that you shouldn't have lost to after you and your team was mocking dirt for being sick. It's little things like that I think about, that when it comes to the GOAT debate, it's that close between him and Jordan. I'm giving Jordan an edge, and it's little things like that. And like I said, I don't hate LeBron. I like LeBron. I like LeBron. I like his game, but I can't put him over MJ. I just can't, for that simple fix. Just things like that.
Fam, MJ just did it better. It looked better. It was better. Period. Like it is what it is. Like his sneakers still they sell the same sneakers every year and it still sells out for a reason. What are we talking about? Like it's different. There's just levels to it.
I just don't know why there's so much hate. And I get it. The LeBron fans feel like they have to retaliate because LeBron gets so much hate. And I get it. I understand. But for me, like when you don't hate either of them, you can enjoy both of them. And that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, that's where it comes down to.
I love when LeBron was on the Heat because that's when I feel like he was like after that first year where he lost to the Mavs, and then they had to face Boston again. What was that, Game 6 where he went crazy?
Mm-hmm.
That LeBron right there, if we could get that Bron more consistently, like if we saw that more times throughout his career, he would be the GOAT to me. Like if he could have did that in that Maverick series that first time, we got a real convo right there because that's something different. But it's been so many times where I've seen Bron not be that. And that's why I just got to put him at the second best.
Yeah. I'm done with the Bron MJ debate. Let's just wrap that up, period. But it'll never end. That's the thing. It'll always be a conversation. 2 more NBA topics before. I
wonder who the next guy would be, 10, 20, 30 years from now. And that's the other thing, too.
That's the thing. MJ is still going to be the standard 10 years from now. I promise you.
You see how everybody's trying to downplay what's going on in the 90s. It's going to be a time where they're going to downplay LeBron's era, too. Because, like you said, the game always evolves. And I'm going to be here to remember that this era, there was just as much talent as it has been.
10 years from now, MJ is still going to be the standard.
Right.
We're going to talk about this next young man because it's a whole different alien. I don't even know what that is. Victor Wembanyama. We'll close out the show with just a couple quick takes. Just seeing how he plays right now with teammates who have no awareness about this is a 7-foot forever guy. I can average. There's no excuse to not average 10 assists and Vic is your teammate. I'm throwing that up anywhere near the basket and taking my chances with that. And he's still finding ways to make a presence felt on both ends of the floor. I feel like his confidence is growing. Even his bag is just getting better and deeper, and it's just his confidence. I think in 2 years, Vic, if he's healthy, can be a top 5 player in this league. I don't think that's crazy to say. I'm saying that in 2 years, Vic will be a top 5 player based off what I've seen so far. That's my thoughts on Vic.
I'm not mad at that take at all. The only thing is the top 5 in the NBA is just so like it's so interchangeable every year. It's kind of crazy to me
Mm,
how far we've come with that.
mm.
Um, but I can agree with you on that. I can see him being top 5 in 2 years because you look at him playing now. What is he averaging right now? It was like 22 and what?
Let me look it up.
22 and 10. And he's not even playing. He's not even playing full minutes.
20 years old. They had Jeremy Sohan playing point guard at one point this year. He had 20 and 10, 3 assists. There's plenty of chances where he's rolling to the basket. His teammates don't even want. I don't know if they're not seeing him. I don't know how you can't see this giant, or they just don't like him. That's the joke on Twitter. His teammates hate him because they're not throwing him the ball. Couldn't be me. I'd be making a living.
Did you see that possession last night? Did
Diamond.
you see that possession they had last night where Tyus Jones basically dribbled out the whole shot clock?
That's the one. That's what I'm talking about. Like, what do you?
I don't
And
get
he's
it.
still cooking.
And the thing is, his impact on defense is crazy right
Mm-hmm.
now. He's second in defense player of the year voting. Well, for the odds,
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing to be a rookie. The only thing he really needs to work on is just getting stronger. But we've been saying that, and it's not like he has to
That'll
be
come.
solid. He just has to get stronger. You know what I mean? Because
That'll
Sengun,
come.
I will say, shout out to Sengun. Sengun give him that work.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody goes through that, when they're rookies. They need that. And I feel like he's going to work. He's going to work at it. His 3 ball has improved throughout the season. I know at the beginning of the season he was shooting kind of bad, but since the All-Star break, he's been shooting good from the 3. So I could definitely see him becoming top 5. He's just a freak of nature, man. There's really not much you can really do with him. Um, I want to see what the Spurs are doing in the future as far as building this team up, drafting this team. Um, I hope Pop can get them right before he goes out. I would love to see that. But I could definitely see him being like top 5 or something. And I don't get what's going on with the teammates. I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, I'm with that.
And one more topic before we get out of here. It's a lot of conversation with once March and April rolls around. It's like, okay, who are the legit real deal contenders? Who are we going with right now? So the Nuggets are the champs. So I'm going to say the champs are the field. Who you going with? Who you trusting? The Nuggets or the field? That can be the Celtics. It can be anybody. One of the Celtics, Suns, whoever you want to say, Clippers, Bucks, whoever, versus the Nuggets going to not winning the championship. Who you going with?
I wasn't feeling it all the way during the year, but since the All-Star break and watching them 2 primetime games, and I'm not even a big person when it comes to like putting a lot of stock into regular season games, but seeing them against the Lakers and seeing them against the Celtics, I'm going with the Nuggets, man. And it's for 2 reasons. For one, it's the way they play. 2, it's the trust factor that I can count on them. I can count on Jokic playing smart. I can count on Jamal Murray hitting tough shots in the half court. I can trust on Aaron Gordon, KCP playing defense. I can trust on MPJ knocking down his threes, right? The problem with these other teams are the potential is there, but I can't trust them all the way. I'm going to start with the Celtics. I love Tatum, right? Sometimes Tatum can shoot himself out of games. Sometimes Boston as a team can shoot themselves out of games, right? I watched them play in that when they played the Nuggets a couple nights ago, and it's like, bro, the Nuggets are here moving the ball. They're not jacking up threes. Celtics, that's all you guys are doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are fighting and clawing. They could have won that game, and you have the talent
Mm-hmm.
to beat that team. But I feel like the problem with the Celtics is they play too erratic. Like they don't know when to slow it down and say, let's give JT the ball in the post real quick. Let him go to work. Let's do a pick and roll with KP. Let's slow it down. They do too much. It's too much. It's too much 3-point shooting. It's too much like all over the place. The Suns, I saw KCP say that the Suns are their biggest challenge, and I agree because last year the Suns took them to 6 games, right? With just KD and Book. You add somebody like Bill now, but my problem with the Suns are the health factor. Their health factor is crazy. Bill is always somebody in and out the lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm going with the Nuggets, and I kind of felt that way coming into the year, but I still wanted to see, okay, let me see what the West is looking like. Let me see how the Celtics and the Bucks are looking. When I watch the Celtics, it's the same question mark for me, as you just mentioned. In those big moments, can you count on them to make the right play? Can you count on Jason Tatum to come through and not settle for jump shots? Can you count on Jason Tatum to actually use his size to attack and get a bucket when you need it, right? They always make things too hard for themselves when more than what it has to be, right? I look at the Western Conference, question marks everywhere. The Timberwolves are exciting in the new wave of young teams coming up, but they're young. Karl-Anthony Towns is hurt now, right? The Thunder, one of my favorite teams to watch, who I was high on entering this year, but they're still young. Front court wise, there's some question marks, but I still think they're a team on the rise, but there are steps that they have to go through. The Clippers, once again, there's still going to be question marks with James Harden and Paul George come playoff time, and health-wise too with Kawhi and PG and James Harden, right? Those are going to be question marks. And so for me, honestly, the Pelicans could be formidable for, come playoff time, but once again, it's that consistency that I haven't seen yet. And so this is less about the other teams, but more about what the Nuggets do so well. They have the best player in the league in Nikola Jokic. There's nothing you can do to stop him as a scorer or a passer. There's just things that he does that you just can't account for, right? Everyone plays so well off of him. There's just a trust factor. There's a consistency with how they play. And the cheat code for the Nuggets is Aaron Gordon. To me, that's just not fair. For that to be your fourth guy after, Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., what Aaron Gordon brings on both ends of the floor and just that presence, that energy, that physicality that he plays with, to me, that unlocks so much for Denver that none of these teams can account for or answer to. Because, yes, Phoenix has Devin Booker and KD and Bill, but how do you answer for Aaron Gordon? Do you have a player that brings what he brings to the floor, that energy, that physicality? Because Aaron Gordon was a lottery pick, a lottery talent. He was just miscasted wrong in Orlando. He was never meant to be the guy. And now he's in this perfect role, which we saw like Iguodala in Golden State, right? What he brought. To me, Aaron Gordon is what Iguodala was to the Warriors. Even more so offensively and just athletically at this point in his career, what he brings is just different. And so, I don't know. I have a hard time thinking any team can beat Denver in a 7-game series. I do feel like it'll be Boston and Denver in the finals. I think that'll be a great series, but I don't think Boston can beat them in a 7-game series. Like I feel like I've seen enough, not even with their matchups, I've just seen enough with both teams. There's just a switch and a focus that Denver has when they're ready to really lock in. When things aren't going perfect, there's still something else that the Nuggets can tap into. With the Celtics, when things are going bad and they're struggling, I think there's just one move that they go to. There's just one route that they take, and that's the three-point shot. With Denver, there's so many ways that they can attack you with, and that all stems from the man in the middle, and that's the Joker. And so I got the Nuggets over the field. I'm pretty confident in that. I think the Nuggets are going to – look, I'm not going to say they're going to sweep through the West, but you got to be perfect to beat them to even win a couple games against Denver. You got to be perfect, near perfect. Their margin of error isn't the same as these other teams. I think it's the Nuggets, the Celtics, and then everybody else, pretty much. That's how I feel. Because the other teams really haven't separated themselves. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Conference tournaments are ramping up now. Selection Sunday is on Sunday. So next time we talk, we'll talk about the bracket. I think next time we talk, probably the first 4 games will have been played, and probably the first tournament day. I think that's how it usually goes. That Thursday, I feel like, is the first official tournament day. Got the first 4 games in the first round games, and so we'll have a lot to talk about. Get our picks in. So study up for y'all brackets. I know we really don't. It's hard to follow all the college basketball and the NBA throughout the year, but I think I have an idea who I got winning the championship. I got to see how the bracket plays out, but I think I got my pick. I got my pick. Got to see the bracket first, though, of course, because the bracket, you just never know matchups and who may play who. But I definitely got 2 of my Final Four teams already. I'm pretty confident in that, but we'll talk about that next time. So, thank you guys for watching. Hit us up, subscribe on YouTube, on socials, or on Apple Podcasts. Check us out. Talk to y'all next week.